Awesome. So hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody that's joining us today. Okay, we are once more with Roman and we are here to learn Flutter. Okay, this is actually going to be a really awesome thing. Okay, Roman is with us one more time. He gave us Flutter Codelabs 1 and 2 last time, and he'll be giving us Codelabs 3 today. Just as an FYI, okay, my name is Leopoldo Hernandez and I am a Google Developer Group co-organizer for Fremont, okay, Cloud Fremont, and Cloud Silicon Valley. Okay, Roman, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Hey guys, again, thank you, Leopoldo, for putting this together. You've been such a great host and a great, partner in these efforts. So again, my name is Roman Jacques. I am a GDG mentor for the Northeast here in North America. I'm also a lead organizer at GDG Lawrence, and I'm a Flutter developer at Philips. So I'm really excited to share my experiences as a Flutter developer by doing these type of events like workshops to make you more proficient, to make you more, to motivate you to come into this framework. And I'm really excited to be here and share those experiences with you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much one more time, Roman, and everybody that's here to join us. We do have some fresh faces and a lot of people coming back. Okay. Once again, I want to remind everybody to be respectful of one another. Okay. We have zero tolerance for bullying and any other type of harassment nature or behavior during our session. As stated before, okay, this is going to be a recorded session, and at the end of the session, I'll go ahead and drop a few links below and post it on our GDG Organizer channel. Okay, without further ado, Roman, take it away. Okay, lead us into this journey once more.
Let's do this. Let's do this, guys. So I'm going to share my screen in just a minute. I'm going to be sharing some screens, just a few screens, but remember, this is a Flutter Codealong, a lot of coding fun, workshop, very little slides, a lot of fun, a lot of interaction. So let's do this, guys. Let me share that and let me know if you guys can still see it. And of course, you see that. So again, thank you so much, guys, for joining this great workshop. My name is Roman Jacques. Again, I'm a GDG Northeast mentor. I'm a Flutter developer, very passionate about this framework. I want to bring as many people as I can to this framework because it makes you so productive. With one single code base, you're able to develop mobile, web, embedded, desktop, all types of applications with one single code base, and only Flutter can allow you to do that. So this is, again, a Flutter hands-on workshop. This is session number 2. And we did the last session last Friday. It's not a prerequisite for you to have attended the previous one, but it would have been a plus. But still, I'm going to give you like all the Codelabs and all that so that you can follow along. This is going to be like an hour and a half session so that you can just stay there with us, learning about Flutter, getting more proficient about the framework, and following along with us in this Flutter learning journey. So I'm glad that you guys are here. So let's proceed. Again, just some housekeeping. So remember, I have a YouTube channel and I post a lot about fluttering there. So please subscribe to my channel. And again, hit that a little bell and the subscribe and like those videos. I post very regularly about fluttering there. So please follow me on my YouTube channel. I'm going to be, after the session and into next week and the upcoming weeks, I'm going to be doing live sessions on Twitch. So I'm going to be doing, you can just join, make fun of me while I make mistakes while developing Flutter applications for you, doing some live coding sessions on Twitch. So please subscribe to that as well. You can visit me on my portfolio site where I post like all the applications that I developed. I regularly post, I have like blog posts about Flutter, a bunch of other technologies. That's my portfolio site. And last but not least, follow me on Twitter at DearCoders. That's my handle. I usually post there about, again, upcoming videos, events like this, so that you can join and so that I can stay in touch with you, and you can follow me there as I take you through all these journeys of learning Flutter and becoming proficient in these technologies. So thank you so much, guys. I would definitely appreciate you guys following there. Awesome. Again, those of you coming right now, you didn't join the previous one, or you're very new into what Flutter is, like you wonder what Flutter is. Again, as a recap, Flutter is a UI framework, an open source UI framework developed by Flutter that allows you with one single code base, develop applications for mobile, embedded, desktop, web, all types of apps, one single code base. And in this session today, we're going to be developing applications, but we're not going to be requiring any installation whatsoever because we're going to be using DartPad. DartPad is a web-based IDE that I'm going to be showing you and dropping the link in a minute. And you guys will be able to develop applications on the web, online, on a browser, and you can even grab those applications and then move them to like your local your local development environment, and even publish those apps eventually. So at least this gives you like a great playground for you to learn, and that's exactly where we're going to be using in this workshop. So if we're gonna be making this session very interactive, so I would request for you guys to join at slido.com with the code 307654. Join at slido.com with the code 307-654, and we're going to be asking a couple of questions, some icebreaker questions, because I want to make it very interactive. I want to get the pulse of the audience. Just want to, and we don't have we have a very nice group of people here, so definitely again appreciate it. So let's make this interactive and just join in this interactive session. Awesome. So again, just a simple ice-breaking question. Like, what would you think if you were an animal? What kind of animal would you be? Like, this is something, again, just for me to get the pulse of the audience. Like, how do you feel about, like, if you were an animal, how would you picture yourself to be? Please join at slido.com with the code 307654. Just drop it in there. Just something open, not even technology related. Just wanted to get the pulse. There you go. I think I can relate to being an owl, because I usually go late nights coding and whatnot. Oh, I see lion. I see the I love that emoji. Perfect. I like the bird. Definitely a bird, so you can flutter. Perfect. Awesome. I think I consider myself I say that I'm like a spider, but I'll tell you why. It's because I like to conquer my fears, and then I like to challenge myself. So I'm actually afraid of spiders. So I say I'm a spider, because I challenge my fears, I conquer my fears. For example, even when I started learning Flutter, like it felt like a little bit intimidating, but as soon as I started getting into it, I felt that it was very easy, very intuitive. So stuff like that, I like to do. Awesome. Yeah, I definitely appreciate you guys, being part of this, and yeah, just dropping your options in there. So thank you very much. Let's go to the next one. If you could travel anywhere in the world, of course, after all this opens up, where would you go? Like, what place in the world would you rather be right now? Maybe some of you again are like me right now. I'm in my Greece. That's a great place. Like, what place in the world, anywhere in the world, once all this pandemic opens up, once the whole world comes back to normal, where would you go? I was going to type it. Italy is one of my top choices. I've already been to Europe. I've been to Spain. But I would love to go to Italy, like Rome, and visit there. It's like great. Oh yeah, Vegas is good. Yeah, it's like within the US. This the word. Yes, I have still my inner child. I still like to go there. So yeah, I definitely appreciate you guys dropping your option. So yeah, anywhere in the world you can just pick. Thank you so much, guys, for that input. Awesome. So without further ado, let's just proceed. Now let's join a quick quiz. For some of you who joined the previous session, I'm going to be quizzing you a little bit. Thank you. So now I'm going to be just dropping a few questions related to Flutter. Let's see how your knowledge on Flutter is right now. If you're new, it doesn't matter. We're not like competing against one another. We just want to gauge the knowledge of the audience and how you've been picking up and been absorbing all this knowledge that we're putting together. So thank you guys again for joining. You can just join either anonymously also, but thank you guys for joining. I'm gonna be just moving along so that you guys, I'll give you a chance to join. But the first question, as you join, I'm dropping it in here. If you remember me mentioning a couple of times during the first session and during these sessions, Flutter apps are written in what language? I think I mentioned it earlier, but which language do you think Flutter, the actual Flutter application, any Flutter application, not Flutter, the framework, but Flutter applications, what language are they being written? Is it C++, Dart, Swift, or JavaScript? I even misspelled it right there, but anyway, so it's either C++, Dart, Swift, or JavaScript. I love some of you who mentioned JavaScript because I am a web developer myself as well. I would have loved for maybe Google to adopt Flutter, but the correct answer is Dart. Dart is a very specialized language. It was optimized for UI development. You can also use Dart for like backend. You want to create like a RESTful API. You want to create like a backend, packages, libraries in Dart. You can do so. But Dart was optimized for UI development, and that's exactly why they picked it for their Flutter framework. So I'm glad that you guys answer that and that you're participating in these sessions. So awesome. Let's go to the next one. Flutter uses a single code base, true or false? Remember a couple of the things that I mentioned earlier about Flutter. Is it a single code base, or do you have to create multiple applications, each for each individual platform for you to develop applications for all those multiple platforms? One single code base or multi-code base? So a lot of people say true, and I think we already have a consensus, and the consensus is true. Flutter uses a single code base. Again, like in the previous question, we use Dart. And then with a single code base, you're able to publish to all of those applications. Not like a web wrapper or anything like that, or like some sort of like a JavaScript bridge. No, this is actually natively compiled applications in one single code base. And you're able to publish to all those type of platforms. So I definitely like that you guys are very proficient in that. Which widget is used for repeating content? For some of you who joined the previous session, you saw me when I was doing like creating objects and creating a bunch of widgets that were repeating themselves. Like, let's say I wanted to create something that has like something that I could scroll and you see like multiple items, or you see like items that were laid out horizontally or vertically or horizontally. So which widget is used for repeating content in Flutter? So you have either the stack, you have the expanded widget, you have a list view, or you have the scaffold. So which one do you think is a widget is, which of these following widgets is used for repeating content? So so let's see what you guys have answered. Sorry about that. Okay, I think I already went ahead. Sorry about that, guys. Do I still have you in the line, guys? Just give me a sound check. I just wanted to make sure. Great, awesome. Okay, so I'm still here. Just wanted to make sure that everybody was there. Cool, awesome. Okay, so let's continue. Awesome. So we mentioned the list view being that type of widget. Awesome. So, okay, great. So now the next question: which mobile framework supports hot reload? So I think you've seen me mention hot reload. That is the capability for your applications to actually make changes in real time, and then you see the changes happen right away. So hot reload is that capability that, as soon as you're typing and you're making changes and you're creating widgets and you're building components, you see the changes in real time appearing. That's called hot reload. Which of these mobile frameworks support hot reload? Choose more than one. So it's actually more than one. The hint here is that it's more than one that support hot reload. Of course, I'll just give it, I'll give you the first one. Of course, Flutter uses hot reload. That's exactly why it's so efficient. And that's why it makes you so productive. So Flutter is one of them. How about which of the other ones are those frameworks? So which mobile frameworks support hot reload? I think we have a great number of people. So let's proceed. And you say, some people say React Native, Flutter, Xamarin, NativeScript. The answer is the top three. React Native has hot reload, Flutter has hot reload, and Xamarin as well. They call it XAML hot reload. NativeScript is the only one that doesn't have it. So yeah, I'm just glad that you guys participated in this. And I said, congrats, Warren, for I think it was like the top in there, even though we were not competing. But anyway, that's just what it gives you there. But anyway, thank you so much for participating in this. And now let's code. Let's immediately jump into the code. And now we're going to be using DartPad. So I'm going to stop the presentation right there. And I'm going to show you DartPad. So I'm going to be dropping in the chat. I'm going to be dropping the link to I don't know if you already have it here. I see a lot of people there. So there you go. Thank you, Leopoldo. So DartPad is again the development environment that we're going to be using for that for developing this application. And I'm going to be dropping Codelab number 2, where you can pick up where we left off last week. So right here, I'm going to be dropping Flutter Codelab number 2, step 11, which gives you the whole code that we did last time. So what you're going to do is in Flutter Codelab number 2, which I just dropped the link in there, you're going to go all the way to step number 12, which is the complete code of Flutter Codelab 1 and 2, the whole code. So all that you're going to do here is you're going to highlight the whole code. You're going to grab everything in here. So that's why I told you, there's not a prerequisite for you to have completed the previous one, because we're going to help you with that. So if you just copy the whole thing and come over now to DartPad, copy step number 12, copy the whole thing, come to step 12. And then here, all you have to do in DartPad, I'm going to refresh it again for you guys. So for example, here you are on DartPad. With the code from step 12, the whole code, you do a copy. You come to dartpad.dev, right? Then you're going to click new pad. So you're going to create a new pad. You're going to say discard the changes, or if you have any previous changes, you click OK. You're going to select either Dart or Flutter. In this particular case, we're picking Flutter, and that's exactly what we're going to be using. So I select Flutter, and then I click create. So now you get like a brand new environment for you to develop your DartPad, your Flutter applications in DartPad. So with that in memory, I'm going to do it again. So I do copy. Then you come back to DartPad, select everything, like delete it completely, and you just paste the whole code that was there. If I hit run, while I pasted that, you should be able to see in a little bit, of course, the application, all the things that we created in previous session. So we created a bunch of widgets. So let me just give you a recap. So what we did in here, and actually, if you just comment out, if you go to line 55, and here you just uncomment the splash screen, you should be able to see the application in its full glory right now, including the splash page and the details page. So if you go to here, the main method, the void main method of the Flutter application, you go where it says run app, material app, and then here, what it was in there, I was just pointing to the main landing page. So if you just remove this and show the splash page and hit run again, you should be able to see now a splash screen showing. It takes 2 seconds. Then it takes you to the details page. So that's exactly our point of reference. So this is going to be the starting point for today's session. We're going to start from where we left off last week, and then we're going to do that. Okay. So awesome. So let me just move this over so I can. Yes, exactly. Perfect. So the whole thing is there, and now I just wanted to get like a check in the chat, making sure that everybody is okay. You can see you copy pasted the whole code, and then you pasted it, and then you ran it. When you run it, you should be able to see exactly where we left off last time. Awesome. Okay, so I see everybody. Perfect. Awesome. I just wanted a small sound check. If you have an error, Andres, try again. I can even send you even like my DartPad if you want. For example, like if I just try to share like this particular one, I think I can like send it to you, and then you can see, for example, like where I left off, right? But at least if you just space the whole thing exactly the way I did it, if when you copy everything, you do a copy, make sure that you copy the whole thing. Requires non-nullable 5.41. Let's see if I get that also. Did you click here on the bottom? In the bottom, there's the null safety check. Make sure that this is checked, which is like null safety. And then if you do, if you do that, you check it, then you enter again, or just paste it, run it again, make sure that we're doing null safety. I could even, now that you give me that, Andres, we could probably try like a session down the line where we focus on null safety, because Flutter now wants to actually detect errors at runtime as a compile time before you even get to run your application, because they want to catch those things up front. So they do a lot of like ahead of time compilation and all that. Yeah. Also, do you get the 44 pixel overflow, Harini? Great comment. That is either because your let's say your window maybe shrunk too much. Make sure that you are also in a good visible like viewport. Let's say if you're like too close like this, you're gonna get like, if you're like too zoomed in, you're gonna see like a lot of overflow pixels. Right. So what you do is use like your browser's controls to like zoom it out a little until you see it like something like this, right? You may probably have to refresh your window and like adjust the viewport of your of the viewing here. Perfect. Also, just like decrease it a little bit, because I'm going to be doing like sessions in the future where we're going to be focusing on media queries, responsive design in Flutter, and that is a great point. So perfect. Thank you very much, Harini, for that comment. Awesome. So let's proceed because we got a lot to cover. So perfect. So if everybody's good, you should be able to see this, and then I'm going to shrink it a little more to make it look a little more like a kind of like a mobile application, like a mobile device. So I'm gonna uncomment this again, line 55. I'm uncommenting and I'm showing the splash page. I'm gonna run it again. You will see a splash screen showing up, 2 seconds appear, and then you get the details page. Okay, so now what we're gonna be doing, I'm gonna be dropping for you guys Codelab number 3. So that's exactly what we're gonna be focused on today. We're gonna be doing Codelab number 3. This is it right here. Let me drop it in the chat. Codelab number 3 will focus on the third page of this application, which is actually the details of each one of the selected items that we have in our list view. So I will be displaying that information right here for you guys. Let me just show you right now. This is the page that we're going to be focused on. I'm going to be dropping it here. So I'm just going to keep it here on the side so that you can see how we develop it as we make progress. Okay. So this is what we're going to be focused on in this Codelab, where we're going to be creating the page that when you select one of the items in here, when you select one of these items, is going to go to that details page. Okay. So Codelab number 3. I'll just drop it again. Okay. Oh, no, I had already done it. Okay, perfect. So we're going to start from the top. We're going to be creating the details page of this application. So everybody, please follow along if you want to do that. If not at the end, of course, remember always, if you fall behind at the end of this code, there's the complete code. But I want you not to cheat a little bit. I want you to follow along because that's how you learn Flutter, by doing a lot of repetition, a lot of coding. So please stay with me if you will, because at the end anyway, you can catch up. But let's start with the Codelab. Perfect. So let's go to step number 2 right away again, because that's exactly what we're going to be focusing on. So I'm going to go to step number 2. So the step number 2 is the initial setup. We're going to be defining exactly what we're tackling. And what I mentioned in the previous session was that when you see like a design like this, and you divide it and you break it up into columns and rows and those type of core Flutter components, you can like do true divide and conquer, and then the design doesn't become like that daunting or too complex, because you can just break it up like that into multiple widgets, and then each individual widget into those type of layouts, columns, rows, containers. It's much easier to tackle. If you see something like that, you're like, no, I can't even do that. That's kind of like, oh, I have to be a designer to do this. Or like, so a designer gives you this, oh no, I have to be like an expert in order to do that. No, you just look at it logically as columns and rows. And then when you see it like that, it's much easier. So let's do that. The first thing that we're going to be doing is creating the core page of this application, which is, we're going to conveniently call it details page. So the first thing that you're going to be doing is going back to DartPad. I'm going to be moving my Codelab over here so I can follow along with you guys. So the first thing that we're going to be doing. Oh, perfect. Okay. Yeah. If you have any, like any errors or something, yeah, please let us know. We should be able to tackle those if you have any issues. So any issues, please let us know. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is, like I did before, the main entry point of a Flutter application is the main method. So you see here, I labeled it as main method. So the main method is the main application. That's what bootstraps the application. Then inside of the main method, the framework, Flutter framework, provides this method called run app. The run app is the one that mounts the first widget. The first widget in our case is the material app, meaning the whole application is also a widget. Everything in Flutter is a widget, including the application itself. So what we're going to be doing is you comment out the home property of the material application, and you're going to be creating something like I'm detailing on step number 2. You call something details page. Remember in the previous session, when we say you can create anything a widget, because and the best way to learn about Flutter and the widgets is by creating your own custom widgets. So right now you get an error, but we're going to be creating a custom widget called details page. So what you can do is just create it like that first, and that's the placeholder. Now you go all the way down. See, like I get the error right there because it doesn't exist. So I'm going to go all the way down to here. And right on top of where the models are, like right on top in here, I'm going to be creating that the custom widget that I'm creating called details page. Sorry about that. So now let's all go to step number 3 in Flutter Codelab number 3. So you go to step number 3, and we're going to be creating that details page. So the details page, I already created it for you. If you see on step 3, you can copy paste the code. But again, because I like to challenge myself, I'm going to type it. So look, so the way that you create a custom widget, you create a class, you give it a name, in our case, details page, and you make it extend stateless widget. Remember the difference between a stateless, the couple of the widgets that you're going to be using are stateless widgets and stateful widgets. The difference between the two is that stateful widgets maintain state, and then you have to create 2 classes: the stateful class and then a state class. The state class is what maintains the state for your widget. And a stateless widget just renders the framework just renders it once, and then that's it. So you always, for creating your custom widget, you override the build method. Every widget you override the build method. So I'm going to type widget build, and every widget gets the build context injected. So you do build context. And while I'm typing, I can just say that the build context, or the context itself in Flutter, is just a pointer to or a handle to the position of your widget in the widget tree. So you're when you're building widgets, you kind of build it as a tree, like, you know, like nodes, kind of like that. So you create a hierarchy. So the context is what allows you to tap into like the hierarchy and even like go up the hierarchy, fetch stuff that has been injected to the parents and stuff like that. So again, I'm just going to create like a scaffold. Scaffold is one of those very convenient widgets that give you like right out of the box, it gives you like an ability to have an app bar, a bottom bar, a drawer, and so on. I'm going to be populating the body property of the scaffold and just adding a center widget. Remember, there's a bunch of widgets in the framework. Center is one of them. All it does is just center things on your widget. So I'm going to just add a child. Remember, we have single child widgets, or we have multi-child widgets. In this particular case, center just takes one widget. So I'm going to be creating a text widget. I'm going to call it details page. Now that I have my details page widget, and again, you could have just copy pasted from the step number 3. You see now the error goes away here on line 55. And what I'm going to do is just run the application. Remember, when this loads, now the application is pointing to this details page. Now everything will be centered around this details page. So make sure to focus now on this class. We're going to be adding everything in here under the details page. Everybody good in the chat? Awesome. Let's continue. So now if you continue down the line, now you see that we're going to be building the structure that you see. So you see that the details page is very bare bones right now, just the label. Awesome. Yeah, Aditya, if you have any issues, let us know. Definitely appreciate you even like participating, letting us know if there are any issues, because I see that you're very savvy on this. So I definitely appreciate any feedback that you can drop on the chat. Awesome. So let's proceed. And then now you see that I have the very bare bones details page. We're going to be creating this structure. So if you see this structure like right out of the gate, you could even see that it's kind of like a column, right? So the first thing that I'm going to be adding, of course, just following along the chat, is to the scaffold, I'm going to just change the background color to it. So I'm going to be adding background color. And then I'm going to be adding a default color, just like white. So I'll do colors.white. And then you add a background color to this page. Now, if you continue down the line in step number 3, you see that now when we look at the design, when you see this layout, you immediately think of columns. So I see like an image up top, then there's like a ratings bar, then there's the description, and there's another like bottoms panel, like a buttons panel. So you see it like that, you immediately think of a column. So that's exactly how you gravitate. So you see it like that, you immediately, okay, so I think that's a column. So let's replace the center widget by a column widget. So I'm gonna ask you to see, I didn't even provide that because I wanted to force you to type that. I can even help you that, but I want you to type that piece of coding there. So let's all follow along, and you're gonna replace the center widget by a column widget. So a column widget allows you to stack, to align your widgets, or lay out your widgets in a vertical fashion. So a column is one of those widgets that take more than one child. It takes children. So what you do is populate the children property, and it's kind of like an array. So then there you add your children. So columns, you can add immediately items to the columns, and they will be stacked up vertically, right? So the 2 widgets that we're adding to our column are 2 expanded widgets. Expanded widgets are those widgets that actually, if you're familiar with the Flexbox model in CSS and JavaScript and HTML, you will be familiar with like the expanded widget. So expanded widget allows you to take up most of the parent's real estate, and then when you add multiple expanded widgets, it actually distributes the space accordingly within the parent widget. In this particular case, we're adding 2 expanded widgets. What it does is it divides the space between those 2 widgets. If you just have one expanded widget, it will take most of the space, and then the other widgets just adjust themselves. So the way that we're going to do it is adding an expanded widget. And then internally, I'm just going to add a child just so that you can see it. So I'm going to add a text widget. I'm calling detail stop. And then I'm just going to copy paste that guy and just paste it right below so that you can see it right here. And then I can, again, explain what the expanded widgets do. So if I just add my column with those children and just hit run, now you will see how the expanded widget works. So if you see it right there, the details shows at the top, the detail stop shows at the top, and the details bottom shows exactly from the center of the column below. You see it right there, right now. They're actually splitting. They're fighting for the space of the parent, and that's how you do it. Like you wrap it inside an expanded widget, and what it does, like the column, when it knows that it has expanded widgets, it devotes most of the space for it, and then it just prioritizes the other ones. In this case, it just splits the space between the 2. Awesome. So let's proceed. So if you see now, you should be able to be at this point, and now you see how expanded widgets work. Let's continue to step number 4, and we're going to be now focused on the top region of this page widget. So we're only going to be focused on this expanded widget up top. So if you're now, let's all go to step number 4. Step number 4 of the details page. We're going to be focused on the top. So if you see now on step number 4, which I'm just showing you right now, if you just see it like that, you're like, oh, that looks pretty cool, but how do I tackle it? I see like things on top of the image, like, aligned in regards to that image with some border and stuff like that. How do you do that? Immediately when you see things layered up as opposed to stacked one on top of the other, you immediately think of a stack. A stack is the widget that allows you to achieve this type of effect right here, like a layered approach, like a cake approach. So when you see stuff like overlapping, that's a stack. So that's exactly how you gravitate to. So the first thing that we're going to be doing, because remember, we already have all the information coming, like we already have it kind of populated in here, like the mounts information. You see, like we have this array here called mount items. Just for the development of this page, we're going to be just hard coding that like the first element of that array, so we can populate this page. So please follow along, and inside of the page, inside of the build method, I'm sorry, just following along on step number 4. Inside of the build method, you're going to be creating a variable. This variable, I'm going to call it, you can call it anything, but if you want to follow along, you want to call it exactly the same. So let's call it selected item. And then here, I'm going to store the first item in the array of all the models that I have, like all the mount information. So you use that property, the array called mount items, and then you fetch the first item. Just something simple like that. So in selected item, we're actually pulling the first item in the collection, and then we're gonna populate this page just like you see it. Okay, awesome. So let's proceed to again, we're gonna be focused only on this guy. So if you see again, there is a background image. There is like the title of the mountain, the location, the app bar is there as well. So it's like a lot of things overlapping. So we're gonna be using a stack. So help me out and you can follow along. Let's replace the whole text that says detail stop. Yes, the whole detail stop. Let's replace it by a stack widget. So I'm just gonna type stack. And then, of course, stack is one of those widgets that take multiple children. So you're going to be creating a children property with an empty array. So you're going to do an empty array on the stack, and now we're going to be stacking things up inside of that stack. The topmost item in this array is actually the bottommost item that you see. It's like the one the farthest in the back because you can see it like as a layer like that. Okay. So let's proceed. So I also provided the code in there that provides the background image for that image that you see in there. How do you accomplish that? So again, we want the image to be the bottommost item. So we're gonna put it first. So it's the bottommost item. So the way that you do it, when you add background images, you use a container and then you apply the decoration property. So let me show you how you do that. You can copy paste it from step 4, but I'm just gonna type it for you so you can see it and then I can dissect it. So in this image, you see that there's like some padding around it. So that's exactly what you apply. So apply some padding, and then I'm gonna do edge insets.all, meaning padding all around it. And I'm gonna add 30 pixels all around it. And then how you achieve background images in Flutter, you use the decoration property of a container. So you do decoration, and then you do box decoration. This is how you do it. And then the box decoration has a property called image. And then you apply the decoration image. You create like a decoration image object, which in turn has another image property that takes either an image from your assets, but in this particular case, we're actually pulling an image from the network, from online. So I'm gonna be using the widget called network image. Network image is the type of widget that allows you to pull images from the web. So and then remember, because we have selected item, and I mistyped that. Sorry about that. You can just use the same property in here. I truly apologize for that. You just type selected item dot path. It's not selected dot path, but selected item dot path for those of you who may be getting an issue if you copy pasted it from there. So you use selected item dot path, and what this gives you is you grab a network image from the network, you add it to a decoration image, then the decoration image becomes the background image for that container. So if you just copy paste it, but just make sure to replace the selected item. I'm going to be taking a note and I'm going to be fixing that. And now if you just run it, we should be able to see something already displaying at the top. And there you go. That's it. Awesome. The next thing that I wanted to show you in this image is how you make it so that it fits or so that it stretches. So you see that there are like white spaces up, above and below. How you make it so that your image actually stretches without losing the aspect ratio. You wanted to keep the same dimensions. You wanted to preserve the aspect ratio, but you wanted, let's say, to focus only on the center part of that image. The way that you do it is you write fit. Fit is that property and that images have that you do. Then you apply the box fit, and then you have a couple of options. You have cover, you have fill, fit height, fit width, like that, depending on how you want to do it. In my particular case, I want to use cover. If you're familiar again with CSS and Flexbox model, there's also like a cover, like a background, type of position. You do like center, and you the way to fill the image is cover. So if you hit run, now you will see that image stretch, but without losing its aspect ratio. And there you go. That's a background image. Cool. Let's proceed. If you're, again, going down the line on this step, you should be at this exact point. Awesome. So I just wanted to check the chat. If any questions or anything, perfect. Awesome. So now within that container, within the same stack, like pulse check, exactly. Awesome. Is anybody good? Everybody following along? You guys have any questions? Are understanding the concepts and all that? Awesome. So now remember, the stack takes a bunch of children and we're stacking them up. So now the next thing that we want to do is actually add another widget inside of that stack, but on top of the image, something that we can fill the screen and then like add stuff in it. So that's exactly why we use this, for example, the position fill. If you notice here on this image, there's like a little bit of a gradient going on. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. How do you do a gradient? So a gradient, you use it also using a container, and then in that container, you apply a gradient effect. Let me show you how to do that. So the first thing that you do, make sure that you're within the stack. You see, like this is the stack. So right under that container that represents the background image, you add a position.fill. Position.fill is that widget that this is more applicable to a stack, because a stack things up one on top of the other. You want it to fill and stretch the whole stack. So you want it to fill up that whole space, and that's exactly what we want to do with the gradient. So inside of that position fill, I already provided in there the code, so you can actually add inside of that position.fill widget, you add a container widget. So I'm going to do child container. And the way that you do that is, for example, like in this particular case, because we're going to be adding a gradient, I don't think in this particular case, well, in this particular case, yes, we can do like padding. Yeah, you can actually add padding in here. If you want to add more things on top, if this is just for the gradient, you don't need to add padding, but let's add it. So you do edge insets dot all, and then you add 30 pixels all around. Then you apply the decoration. Remember, we're going to keep mentioning the decoration a little bit. So the decoration, now you use box decoration. Remember, we use box decoration for a background image, but you could also use the box decoration for gradients. So you have a property in the box decoration called gradient, and then you add a linear gradient. Then the linear gradient has a bunch of properties. You can just copy paste it from the code and you can follow along while I talk. And then the linear gradient, you have to add a bunch of colors. You can add just 2 colors, 3 colors, blah, blah, blah. And then you apply the range at which they appear in your gradient. In my case, I want them to go from the center of the screen below, and I only want to apply 2 colors. I want it to be gradient between transparent and black, or like a little bit opaque. So you add the property called colors, and you add the 2 colors. So you add colors.transparent, and then you add, yes, exactly. Thank you, Aditya. So the gradient piece. So you can apply gradients to you do it using a container. So a container takes a property called decoration, right? And then remember the box decoration, we use it for a background image. We also use box decoration for like borders. So box decoration is also used for gradients. So inside of the box decoration, you again add the gradient property. Let's say in this particular case, linear gradient. You can add like radial gradient and whatnot. But then the linear gradient you have to apply colors because you want a gradient between 2 colors, 1, 2, 3 colors. And then you also want to indicate the direction, whether you want it to be from a corner, from the top to the bottom. Let me show you how to do that. So first thing, you add the colors. Let's say I want it to go from transparent to black. So I do colors, and then I add the 2 colors. So I do colors.transparent. So it's going to start at transparent. Not yet, but at least I'm defining all the colors that I want in my gradient. Then you add the next color, like colors.black. Leave it at black, but I want it to be like a little bit opaque. So I'll do with opacity. That's a pretty cool utility method that colors have that you can apply like an opacity, like that. And now, after you have the colors, now you say how you want your gradient to be. Do you want your gradient to start at the top left, and then it goes like diagonally? Do you want it to start from the bottom up? You can do anything. So here you say begin, and then you tell it where you want it to begin. In this particular case, I want it to start at the center. So if I want to start at the center, I say alignment.center. That means, remember that position.fill is going to fill the whole container. But if I say center, it's going to start at the center. Even though the container is filling the whole space, I want it to start at the center. If I say top center, then it starts at the top, all the way at the top, but at the center. Thank you very much for your question. So then when you do begin, I'm going to start at the center and then end just at the bottom center. So I'll do alignment dot bottom center. Like that. Now, if I just save, thank you very much, guys, for your questions. You can hardly see it here. I'm gonna just change the opacity to just 1 so that you can see it. In other images, you may be able to see that better, but here now you saw like the gradient showing up, right? If I even show like another one of the items, let me see how this one looks. Like, let's say I pick any other item. You see the gradient there. So if I try like another one, let me show you. Like maybe I think this one may work for us. You see that gradient? That is more noticeable. So I can even use the same one. Actually, let's stick with this one. So and then I'll bring the opacity again back to 0.7. And then now I see it like a little bit more subtle. That's exactly what I wanted. So let's stick with that. So there you go. That's how you do gradients in Flutter. Let's continue down the line. And now what I want to do is add the text. So how do you add the text? Remember, we're in the stack. The stack has the image. Yeah, oh, definitely. So the stack has the image at the bottom, then the gradient. You see, we're stacking things up. Now the next one is the column that has all those labels. So you make sure that you're still within the stack, and I'm gonna add it right underneath the position.fill, and then you're gonna add another position widget. You could either use for stacks, you could either use like align widgets, or you could use positioned widgets. But the position gives you the capability that you can put it anywhere inside your stack by just providing the coordinates top, left, bottom, and right. But alignment, you can just align it top, bottom, left, right, top, right, like that. If you want a specific location, use positioned. If you wanted just the predefined positions, you use an alignment. It's kind of like the Flexbox, exactly like that. Thank you, Aditya, for bringing that up again. I can't stress it enough. If you come from the web world and you're doing Flutter, you're gonna feel at ease and you're gonna feel like in very familiar territory. So let's continue. So now I do a position widget, right? And then you add, for example, I wanna add like those core, remember, when you add it right away, the position widget is going to add it to like the 0, location, right? Like it's going to do it like at the top left, like is the default coordinates is like 0, 0, right? But in this case, I want to say added 30 pixels from the bottom, kind of like simulating a padding. You could also do that, add your widget and then add padding. But in this particular case, I wanted to show you the position widget. So you could do bottom 30 pixels, left 30 pixels. Now I'm lifting that container 30 pixels from the bottom, 30 pixels from the left, and then that's it. And then right, I'm just gonna say 0, meaning still stretch, because this is kind of like simulating stretching the widget. And then you say, attach yourself to the 0 coordinate on the right, 30 pixels on the left, 30 pixels from the bottom, just like that. Now, all you have to do is then add a child. So we're gonna add a child. And of course, you guessed it, because the name of the mountain and the position are stacked up vertically, then it's a column. So let's add a column, just like that. Very simple. Continuing down the line in the step number 4, I already provide you with the text widgets that you need to replace it. So I'm just gonna copy paste that for you, and then I'm just gonna show you. So step number 4, I'm copying the column, like the whole content of this column, because you already know how to create a text widget. Is very simple. I'm just gonna paste it here and dissect the code. Remember to do Shift Tab whenever you encounter like this type of issues in DartPad. Again, I know DartPad is not like the holy grail of editors, but hey, it allows you to do Flutter on the web. Awesome. So let's just do that. You do Shift Tab and then it aligns itself. And then if you run it, now we will see that inside of my position widget, I have these 2 items. So I have a text widget inside a column aligned to the left. I have the top item, which is the selected item, that name. So I'm pulling it out of the model. I'm making it white with a font size 30, and I'm making it, I believe I'm making it bold. There you go. And then the bottom item is just the location value. I'm making it white with a font size of 20. And then that's it. I just stack it up like that. You see, it's coming along, guys. Awesome. Great. So you see, I'm actually making great progress, and then you see it already coming to life. Awesome. Let's continue down the line on step number 4. And then now you see how that's showing up. So I like that. The next thing that I'm going to show you that a lot of people don't show you, and you see it very often. You got to go to Stack Overflow and find it very deep in there. Very few people have it in tutorials. Is how to add the app bar and make it so that it displays on top of other items. Usually, whenever you add an app bar, the app bar by default inside of a scaffolded widget, it already makes that space at the top, and then it looks a little bit ugly. Let me show you exactly what I mean. So the app bar, remember the scaffold is that widget that gives you out of the blue, it gives you like out of the box, it gives you like app bar, bottom bar capabilities, drawer capabilities. So here, if inside the scaffold, I say app bar, and then I just create a regular app bar like this, and then I just run it. If I just add it to the scaffold like that, it will do this to me. Look, it adds that ugly bar at the top. I don't want it like that. I want actually this bar to actually be transparent and be shown on top of my image in this particular case, so that it looks very slick, right? Very few people know this trick. The way to do it is actually add the app bar inside of a stack. So you can have a stack as the main, let's say the main body of your scaffold, but then when you add the app bar, automatically it adds it at the top. Instead of adding it like, well, anywhere where you position it, the app bar already knows where it needs to go. But when you add it to a stack, it shows itself at the top. Let me show you exactly what I'm referring to. So inside of the app bar, let me show you a few things first. Before I even move it to the stack, let me show you what it would look like. So the app bar, we're going to be defining the app bar. And then I've already given you like some of the properties that you can copy paste, but I'm just going to do it right here. So remember, app bar has properties like elevation, and elevation just removes that shadow. Let's say I don't want that shadow, so I remove the elevation. Let me show you. So when you do elevation 0, is a value between 0 and 1. Between 0, and you can just increment the value, and it gives you like the type of like shadow, right? So if you do app bar elevation 0 like that, and then now you say background color, and then you make it, for example, transparent. I'm going to say colors.transparent. And then if you run it, now instead of being blue, you should be able to see it transparent. There you go. So now you see it transparent, but you still see that bar up there. I don't want that. Now let's add a couple of items. Let's say we're going to add items to this app bar. If you go down the line on step 4, I'm adding a title. So if you add a title is a way for you to add widgets in the center, like of the app bar, kind of like if you have a title. So I type title, and then I'm going to center an icon widget. So see, I'm all creating widgets, a center widget, then an icon widget. So I'll do child icon, and then I'm going to add the same icon that I've been using, the one called terrain. Add a color of white, and then I'm going to add a size of 40. Because it's white, you guessed it, you won't be able to see it. If I change the color, for example, like to red, you will see it. For example, let me just change it temporarily so you can see it. So you see something like this, you see it. But I don't want it to be white. I want the image to actually go underneath that bar. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing in a minute. So now the next thing that I want to show you is, again, we reviewed it in the previous lab, where you also add items like to the right-hand side of the app bar. You use the actions property of the app bar. So you type actions, and it takes an array of widgets. You can add any type of widget in here. In this particular case, I'm just going to add a container widget, because remember, there's no margin widget in Flutter, but there's a container that you can apply a margin property, a margin value to it. So what you do is add the margin to a container, and then I'm going to be using the same way to do it. Edge insets dot only. Remember, only you have other options. You do all, only, empty, whatever. I'm going to say only to only apply it to one coordinate. In this case, the right. So 10 pixels on the right, a little bit of margin, and then I'm going to add as a child just another widget. So as a child of that, I'm going to be adding an icon widget with that icon that looks like pending. I do icons.pending. I'll make it white, or in this case, I'll make it red, just so that we can still see it. And then a size of 30. if I run it now, you will see now that icon in there, and then you will see that the widget on the right hand side, and there you go. But still, I don't want to see I don't want to see that widget in there. I want the app bar to show on top of the image. How do you do it? You cut it out of the scaffold. I hope you follow here. You see a scaffold has the app bar property. No, don't put it in the scaffold. Take the app bar out. And if your body, I'm sorry, I'll take the whole thing. Sorry about that. I forgot to cut it from here. So this is the app bar. So let me cut it all the way from here. Let's say in your scaffold, you have a body and there's a stack in there. Add it to the stack. I'm going to add it all the way at the top of the stack under the position widget. You just drop the app bar like that, as if it was another regular widget. So if you just tab on this, see, like the app bar now is part of the stack. Remember, stack stacks things up in a layered fashion. When I run it, now you will see the bar showing on top of the image. Very few tutorials show you this. I figured this out by just playing around, and I'm like, this looks cool. I'll do it on each one of my applications. I don't want my applications to look like so default and so like just like the next guy. I want to make my applications to look very unique, and this is one of those things that make like very clean. So, and then now all I'm gonna do, of course, is just replace these values to white, and then now we are matching now on our design, of course. Thank you. We have a couple of fans of the app bar being added to the stack. So thank you guys. Awesome. So let's continue. So now you see that the app bar shows right on top of that image. Let's continue. Now you going down the line. Now you see, for example, how do you add, for example, like rounded corners to your widgets? Remember, in the previous session we applied. Remember the box decoration, and then the box decoration has border radius. But when you have a bunch of widgets stacked up on each other, grouped, and like, let's say all part of the children of a stack, is hard because you're gonna have to do it to each individual one as opposed to all of them as a whole. The way to do that, there is a widget that allows you to apply, let's say, some clipping capabilities to a group of widgets, and that is the clip R rect. We have two widgets: the clip rect, which clips things as a rectangle, so you can, let's say, cut things, like cut a hole and things, and you clip them as a rectangle, or the clip R rect, which is clip rounded rect. So this case, we're going to just clip rounded edges on our widget, on our stack. Let me show you how to do that. So if you see in the step number 4, we're still on step 4, you see that piece where we're doing it. So the way that you do it, you're going to grab the whole stack. So you see my stack right here. So the way to do it, remember, is you make sure that you select the bottom piece of that stack, the bottom parentheses, select the whole thing. So I'm going to grab the whole stack. Sorry about that, guys. Unfortunately, DartPad doesn't have like way to collapse it. If you do it in Visual Studio, of course, you're going to get it. So if you cut the stack out like this, you cut it, and now you add a clip R rect widget. The clip R rect widget takes a couple of parameters that allow you to then clip anything that is a child of the clip rect to whatever you define it to be. In this case, I'm going to add it straight up. I'm going to add the child, and it will be the whole stack. You see now the stack is the child of the clip rect, but then to the clip rect, you add the properties of border radius. Remember, we use border radius in the box decoration of a container, but it's also part of the clip R rect. So you're going to do border radius, and then you add border radius only. And then the only items that we're going to apply like clipping is only on the bottom left and the bottom right. So let's add it right there. So the way that you do it, you say bottom left, and now let's cut a little corner. So apply a radius to it. So do radius circular, and then you add like a 40 pixel radius. And then now we're going to do it to the bottom right. So you just do bottom right radius circular, and then you apply the same 40 pixels. Now, if you do that, now you see a clip rect grabs the whole stack, the bar, the image, the column, the gradient, all of that. And then I'm going to cut corners on all of those widgets. And the way they look is exactly what it looks like. So I love the clip rect when I have actually groups, But let's say if you only have one container and you want to do it on that, you could do the decoration, the box decoration, and then the border radius. But when you have a bunch of other widgets and you want to do them all at once, you do the clip right. Awesome. How is everybody doing? Everyone doing in the chat? Everybody's liking the way this is coming out? Awesome. Let's continue because we have a couple other things to go over. So let's proceed with step number 5. So step number 5, we're going to be developing now the bottom piece. So now we already took care of the top piece. Awesome. Tanush, thank you for that shout out. Awesome. I'm glad that you guys are liking it. Let's continue now with the bottom piece of this widget. So now we're, if you see it right here, now we're going to be focusing on that piece. So we're going to have like a ratings bar, description, and some other buttons below. Remember what I mentioned in the past. Whenever you're tackling like a structure like this, split it into widgets. Why? Because remember, widgets, the most important method in a widget is the build method. When you concentrate updates on your widgets to just the build method, it makes it more efficient. As opposed to rendering the whole page, you're only rendering those widgets. You also make it so that you can do divide and conquer, and then your widgets can be tackled by multiple people. Like let's say a friend of yours takes the top widget, and then you take the bottom widget. That way you split off and then you do your work. And then when you integrate it, it's all good. And then when you split it like that, you're accomplishing widget composition. So let's proceed. So here you see that it may look a little bit like convoluted in there, but at least I just wanted to make it very granular. How you see a structure like that and you divide it in columns and rows, just like that. So we're gonna have, of course, at the beginning, we're gonna have a container, a column, I'm sorry. You add a column, and then that column, you have multiple widgets in there, and that's exactly what we're gonna be doing. So let's proceed with step number 5. Let's concentrate on the bottom expanded widget, which is right here. And then let's just replace this text widget by a column. Because now you're only focused on the bottom piece, but that bottom piece is further divided into other structure, into another structure. So we're gonna start with a column on that. So let's do a column. And then we're gonna add children to it, just like we've done always. So let's add a couple of children. We're gonna start with that ratings bar widget in there. And then I'm telling you, you see how I split it? Now we're only focused on that piece. Instead of focus on the whole thing, now let's just divide and conquer. Let's only grab that details ratings bar. So let's just do exactly that. I think I provided the code for that, so you can just copy paste it. I'm gonna do exactly just that. So again, when you create your custom widgets, you either do them as stateless widgets or stateful widgets. I'm just gonna paste it right here. And you see, now we're gonna be concentrating only on that bar, the details rating bar. So I split it into a separate widget. And then now when I run it, I should be able to see, instead of saying details bottom, we should just see the ratings bar. Actually, well, let me just, I have to add it, of course. So there you go. So now here in the children, I add the details rating bar widget. And then let me run it again. Forgot to add it. And exactly, that goes to show, follow the steps. There you go. And now we should be able to see it. There you go. So we have the details rating bar. Now let's just focus on that piece. So now let's work on the structure of that piece only. So if you see, I've also mentioned in the past that you can create models, but you don't have to create models all the time. You can just create like a little dictionary. And in Dart, you can just create a dictionary by just creating a property like this. Like I'm going to be calling it sample rating data. And then when you create a dictionary, you just create an object surrounded by curly braces with key value pairs. And then the way to do it, for example, I'm going to be adding some of those items in there just so that I can populate some data so that it's not straight up hard coded. So I'm going to be adding like a rating key with a value of 4.6. And I'm going to be adding a price key with a value of, and let's say if you want to escape like the $, because when you use $, that's actually doing like a variable interpolation. So you do \$ that's how you escape it. And then you do like 12. Right now, let's go to the next one, and then you do like open, and then you do like a string here. You do like 24 hours. Like, oh, these guys are open 24 hours. So that's how you create like a small dictionary, and you can use that as your data model while you're developing. Let's say if you just want to do something much simpler. Let's continue down the line, and then inside of this container, remember now if you see the structure, because they're laid out horizontally, you already know, and you gravitate to a row. So we're going to be replacing this text widget by a row widget. So I'm going to be doing just an empty row. And I think I see some padding around it. So that's exactly what I'm adding. So I'm adding a padding and then using edge insets at all. And then I'm adding 10 pixels all around it. That's it. I'm sorry, I need a comma. And then that's it. Now let's continue. So now inside of that row, let's develop it further. We want our items to actually, instead of either stretching or aligning to the left or aligning to the right, rows have a property called space evenly. It's very convenient. You just throw the items inside of the children of a row and they space themselves evenly when you do main axis alignment, space evenly. You have other options like space between, space around, but I want to say space evenly, so they space themselves evenly. Awesome. Continuing down the line on step 5, I'm showing you already how to do the children. So you can just copy paste that code and you can follow along. So I'm still on step 5. I'm like halfway down the step. And then inside a row, remember you add the children. And let me dissect this code a little bit so you guys can see it. So a children of the row, you can either hard code them inside of an array, but I'm using this very convenient method out of a list in Dart. You say list.generate. You just give it the length of things. Like let's say you give it a count, and then you give it a callback method, and then the callback method will be executed for as many items as you have, let's say in your code. And then it conveniently passes the index of that collection so that you can retrieve it inside, right? And then all I'm doing is just returning an empty container, which will like the rating, the price, the open, all of those are containers. So I'm going to be using a container for each one of those little cards. So we're going to be doing, we're going to be start adding like some padding to it. So I'm going to be adding padding and margin, edge insets dot all, and then 20 pixel all around for padding and 10 pixel all around for margin. So edge insets dot all, and then I say 10 like that. Now that I have padding and margin to my widgets, now let's focus on the decoration. Remember that I mentioned earlier, the box decoration in a container is used for borders, is used for a border radius, is used for shadows, is used for a gradient. So you leverage that decoration property of a container. So you do decoration, box decoration, and then you add a border. You see that gray border around that? This is how you apply a border to a container. So you do border, border.all, meaning all around it, give it a color. In this case, I'm gonna say add a gray color to it with opacity of like 0.2. So I'm gonna do 0.2 opacity. Also, I want to add a width, like the thickness of that border, you apply it right here. Actually, let me just keep it right here in line, and I'm gonna say width 2. So we're gonna, sorry about that. So you're gonna like a 2 pixel width on that border, right? And of course, in the same decoration, in the same box decoration, you can add rounded corners to your container. So you do border radius, and then do border radius dot circular. If you do apply like a 20 pixel border radius all around it, you do it like that, and then you apply it to the decoration. So if you run, now we should be able to see a list of items showing, remember, as many keys as I have in here. Well, we still need to display the stuff inside. We're gonna get to that, but at least you see 3 items with a gray border and with border radius. Now let's add the items, the values that are gonna be displayed inside. So let's just continue down the line. And of course, you guessed, even though it's in there, because you continue further elaborating on the structures of your widgets. When you now go inside of each one of these widgets, you say that the items are laid out vertically. That's a column. So that's exactly what you're going to be doing. So inside of that container, I'm going to be adding a child, which will be a column. You see those 2 labels, they're like one on top of each other. So let's just add the children of this column, which will be 2 text labels, which I already conveniently provided for you here in the code. You can just copy paste it. Let me just paste it and elaborate on this code. So let me shift tab, and then I can show you now. So you see now the column. Now inside of each one of those containers, there will be a column with two text labels, one on top, like with black, bold, and I think, let me see what, oh, no size, just default size. And then the bottom one, font size 15, using the main color with bold. You can see it right here. And then the way that I'm pulling the data from this dictionary is just by pulling the key and the value, simple as that. So I query the entries of the dictionary. So it gives me like 3 entries. Then I fetch the element that matches on the index of my iteration. And then that's how I pull it. And then I do key. So I do sample rating data, dot entries, dot element at the index, and then I just fetch the key. And then in this one, I just fetch the value. Simple as that. So I like the fact that I'm also teaching you some Dart concepts, and then you're learning Dart at the same time as you're learning Flutter. So there you go, simple as that. So you see, I further elaborate on these structures by just going deeper into them, and then each one of them I continue modifying it. Awesome. All good in the chat. Thank you very much, guys. I love the fact that you're still there and you're following along. Perfect. So let's continue down the line. In this step number 5, when you see it, we're done with step number 5. We've made a lot of progress. So I think we're ready to go to step number 6. So step number 6 in Flutter Codelab 3, we're going to be creating the title and the description structure. So you see here now, it just shows the title of that, like in the about this mount, and some description. So let's just do it. And if you see it right now, you kind of see that it's not going to be very complex. So it's just going to be an expanded widget because you want it to actually take most of the real estate in that column. Remember the expanded widget. The expanded widget takes the most space out of the either a column or a row out of that parent widget, and the other ones just stretch the disperse themselves because there's no they just take the remaining space pretty much. So that's exactly what we're tackling here. So inside of this, the bottom part, remember, we're still, we're done with the details rating bar. So we're going to be creating under the ratings bar an expanded widget. Expanded widget, like I mentioned before, it's kind of like a flex. So the details bar is not going to take that much space. It's just going to shove itself to the top, and then it's going to dedicate the rest of the space to the expanded widget. So now I believe I already have some of the code in there. So what you do in the expanded, if you see already the layout, the expanded widget has a title and a description. So it's laid out as a column. Exactly, you guessed it, a column widget. So let's do that. And then I'm just gonna add a child to this expanded widget and add a column widget. You see it right there in the code. And we're still in step number 6 of Flutter Codelab 3. And then you add the cross alignment property, cross-axis alignment, cross-axis alignment. Remember the cross-axis alignment, what it gives you is alignment across the main axis of this container, of this this widget. If it's a column, cross-axis alignment is the horizontal, right? So it's like the opposite. So cross-axis alignment start, that means align it to the left. So you actually see it right there, it's aligned to the left. So I already give you the text for the widget for the text, for the label, for the title. So that's the first child that you add to this container. So I'm gonna add, of course, and I think I'm gonna take a note in here. I should make sure that everybody adds the children to the column, and then add that text widget as the first item in the container. Tanush mentions, does that mean the expanded widget should always be the last children in the container? No, it doesn't have to. Very good question. You can you can put it in any order in your column. It will take the most space. I'm actually gonna go to that point because I'm gonna add another widget inside of the column under the expanded. The expanded still takes the most space. All the other widgets just take as much space as they have, like whatever their content allows them to be. But the expanded doesn't have to be the last one. It could be the first, it could be in the middle, it could be at the end. It will always take the most amount of space. Thank you very much for that question. Perfect. So I'm gonna tab, and then now you will see that when I hit run, I'm only gonna have one widget, of course, the text widget, but now you will see that is showing at the top, meaning it's already taking the bottom half of that column. And then now it's taking all that space. So now what you wanna do is add, for example, like in this particular case, because it's the only item, it doesn't know how to align itself because it's just occupying, like the center, and it's just stretching by the content that you're adding to this column. But now what you need to do is then add the other part, which is the description. So first we have the text, which is just the title. Now let's work on the description. Actually, I'm sorry. Let's continue down the line. And what it does is like we're adding some padding to it. But before we do that, let me just show you this thing right here. So remember we mentioned about variable interpolation. This is how you interpolate variables within a string in Dart. So you add the $sign. You surround the variable that you want to interpolate within curly braces inside of your string, and then you refer to it like that, and then that way it does that replacement in there. So that's awesome. So now what you do is, and then again, in this particular case, you have to take this text widget again. You kind of like cut it out, and then we're going to use a padding widget because we're going to be adding some padding around it. So I'm going to be adding the padding widget, right? And then you add the padding widget, of course, takes a child, in this particular case, this text widget. And then the padding takes the padding property. So I'm going to be adding padding, edge insets, add only, because I'm only going to be adding just a certain properties. So I'm going to be doing just text, left 20 pixels, right 20 pixels, and bottom 20 pixels. So I don't want anything at the top. I'm good with the top. I'm only going to do left, right, and bottom, just so to give it just a little bit of breathing room around it. Perfect. Let's continue down the line, and we're going to be doing exactly the same treatment for the description. So we're going to start with a padding widget. Again, padding widget, very convenient. Just does padding. That's all it does. You add some padding to that. You have to add the padding property. So you do padding, and then you do edge insets dot only. Also, you're only going to be doing some coordinates. Let's do only left, right, 20 pixels, and bottom, 20 pixels. And of course, as a child, we're just going to be adding the description. And you could either do it like that. I'm adding like interpolation because I thought I was going to be doing more text in there, but you can just even spit it out straight up inside the text widget. You can either do the interpolation or straight up, you can say selected item dot description, which gives you just the text. And then you apply the style. In this particular case, we're just going to decrease the font. So decreasing the font is you have to apply the text style, and then you add the font size of 12. So I'm just decreasing the font size a little bit. And then now if I just hit run with all of this, we should be able to see some content in here. So you saw it's a column inside an expanded widget. And there you go. So you have an expanded widget. It's taking up most of the bottom piece. Is aligning the title, making it bolder, bigger, and then the description below, just straight up. So remember, you can either do interpolation or you can just spit it straight up if it's a string. Awesome. So if you go scroll down the line, we're good with this section. Now we're going to go with the last piece of this widget. The last piece is that bottom piece. And Tanush, this goes to your point where I said, oh, is the expanded widget the last widget of a, let's say, of a column? No, it doesn't have to be. Now let's go to step number 7 and work on that widget. And if you see, we're also creating yet another widget, but it's not the last one. It is the last one in the container. It's not the expanded widget, right? So that's what makes it cool. So we're here again and still in the details page. And then I'm going to go to that section where we have the, we're in the bottom piece. So let me go exactly to that one. So when we're there, see, we're ready to we're ready the ratings bar. We're ready to the expanded. And then if you see the expanded right here, let me select the parentheses. You might get a little bit confused. Again, DartPad doesn't have collapsing components or just like regions. So you're gonna have to live with that. So right under the expanded, make sure that you're aligned on the parentheses, otherwise you'll be messed up. So right under this one, let's create another custom widget, which we will call details bottom actions. Again, it hasn't been created yet, and I think I've already created the boilerplate code for that class, another custom widget. I can even just add it here under my details ratings bar. I'll just paste the code. Again, it's just a simple custom widget, extends stateless widget. And I think I also made a mistake in there in the code. Apologies for that. I'm missing the semicolon in there, but you can just add it right away. You can code it, copy, paste it, and add the semicolon that is missing. So now let me go back again. Under the expanded widget, now I add this new widget called details bottom actions. If I run it, for those of you in the chat that you saw the question, now you will see how the expanded widget works. You see the expanded widget pushed the details rating bar to the top. The expanded widget with the container took the whole space and it pushed the bottom actions to the bottom. So I didn't have to tell it anything. It smartly does it and it distributes the space accordingly. The expanded takes most of the space and then the column just prioritizes on the other ones second. So the expanded takes most of the space and then the other guys, just like that. Now let's continue. Again, the same way that we've been doing, we elaborate on those widgets. Now let's say we're doing that widget composition that I mentioned. So now let's continue and let's do just the bottom piece. So let's just replace this text widget. I think I'm only, so I'm gonna just replace the bottom, this widget by I'm gonna do a padding. So the first thing that I'm gonna be adding is just padding. Because I want you see like this bottom widget has like some padding around it. So let's just do padding. And you already know what the padding does. I'm gonna have to explain it. So I do padding and then I do edge insets only. And remember, I don't care about the top margin or top because there's a lot of white space on top of that. So I don't need that. So I'll do left 20, right 20, bottom 20. So all around it, but the top. And then I'll just add the 20 pixel padding. Of course, you guessed it. You see the layout right away of how the buttons look. So you know they're laid out horizontally. So that is a row. So you remember, tackle it like that always, piece by piece, region by region, and then you will definitely go far like that. So now the padding has as a child a row. Of course, rows have children. And then you add it just like that. Now we're going to be focusing on, again, yet another expanded widget. You guessed it, because we want our first item, in this particular case, that book now button, to take most of the space in the row. Remember, we applied it to the column. Now we are applying it to the row. So it takes most of the space in the row and then it stretches and then it pushes all the other guys either to the left or the right. So that's exactly what we're doing. So let's just do let's add the placeholder item. So I'm going to be doing an expanded widget. And then I'm just going to add like an empty container because we're going to be elaborating on those. This is kind of how you do like your placeholder widgets. You know, while you're like structuring and architecting your UI, you can just place like placeholder containers like that. And then kind of like you go then into each individual one and then you further develop it. Now let's focus on this container. We're going to be doing that custom button. So let me mention that I think I mentioned it in the previous session that you can use the buttons again. No harm in doing so. You can use the buttons available in the material library. But if you want to learn Flutter, you want to create your own custom widgets, like creating your own custom buttons. That's what gives you that knowledge. You know their life cycle, you know how to style them and all that. Yes, then you can use those for like speed of development. But if you really want to be proficient in that, start by creating like your own custom widgets like we've been doing, and even creating your own stuff. So in this particular case, I'm gonna be creating my own button. So how do you create your own button? Like buttons, even if you see the code base, is exactly the way that I'm gonna be doing. Usually like a button is, it uses the material design to apply like a bunch of effects like hover effects, touch effects, tap events and stuff like that. So you leverage those core widgets and you can make your own. So let's start. So we're going to be replacing this container by a material widget. The material widget is the one that gives you a lot of those capabilities from the material library available by Google. So it's already like inherited. Now inside of the material, the material widget gives you also kind of like the same capabilities of the clip art rect. You have like a border radius. So you do border radius, and then I'm going to be doing 15 pixels all around it of border radius. So you do border radius dot circular, and then you do 15 pixels. And then you can apply a color. So you see now that my material widget is kind of like an invisible widget until you add stuff to it. But you can add like background and stuff like that. For example, if I do just this color, main color, and you run it, you may not see anything because you haven't added like a child to it and stuff. So when you see this, like you may see like nothing. There you go. So because you haven't added anything to it. So the material, but you will see all the capabilities that it gives you. Now, when you have a material widget, now you want the effects that you get in buttons, like in the material library, that when you hover, you get like that inkwell effect. When you click it, you see like a ripple effect. That is provided by a widget called inkwell. So the way that you do it, you add as a child of the material an inkwell. So you do child inkwell. The inkwell gives you that like splash effect, highlight effect, like a hover effect, all those effects that you get from the material library. And you can leverage it because you can create your own like components, and you can add all those effects yourself. So the way you do it, you add, for example, I'm just going to copy paste it right here and then dissect the code. So here it is. So the inkwell. So the inkwell widget gives you all that. So it gives you like a highlight color. I'm saying make it white with a little bit of opacity. The splash color was another property. And of course, the inkwell, you guessed it, it gives you like tap events. You have like touch events. I think you even get like, let me show you, for example, like if you do on, you get like a bunch of events like on pressed, on tap, on hover. You get like a bunch of events. It's pretty cool. I will invite you to explore those on your own. Perfect. So now after we add the inkwell, you still don't see anything. Why? Because you haven't added anything that will leverage those things. So if you run it, you still won't see anything. To the inkwell, then you add the child that will be leveraging all these effects. How do you do it? Now is when you add, for example, let's say in this particular case, I'm going to be adding a container. So a container with some padding and some text. Then what that does is it stretches. And as it stretches, then it leverages all the things that the parent provided to it. The material aspect, the material styles, the inkwell effects, and all that. So let's try that. So now after you do that, so you see, you just keep me on top. Just keep that in there just for future reference, but we're not going to do anything with that. But you add a child, and we're going to be adding a container. So to that container, just like any regular container, I'm going to be adding padding. I'm going to do edge insets dot all. I'm going to be adding 21 pixels of padding in that container. And I'm going to add a child, just a text widget with, let's say, some text. I'll call it like book now. And then I'm going to align that text. I'll do text align to the center. Perfect. And then I'm going to add some style to it. What kind of styles? Let's make it white. So we'll do style, text style, colors.white. So I invite you to do that as well. You created a material widget, then you added the inkwell. Then inside, I added a child, which is a container with some padding, a text widget as a child of the container with some style in it. If I hit run, we should be able to see something now, because before we weren't able to see anything. And there you go. Now you can see stuff. And if you try to click and like press, you see that nice, okay, I see. Yeah, I see Harini answered that question. Thank you, Harini, for participating and even engaging in some of the questions that people are dropping in the chat. Thank you very much. So now if you see, remember the inkwell is what provides like this effect, like this splash that like inkwell. They call it inkwell because that provides you like that inkwell effect. And then when you do that, that is provided by the material in the inkwell widget. So this is how you create like your own custom buttons, if you will. You can add more effects to that. So you see, in just a very little bit of code, I created my own button. If you want, you can even grab this chunk of code, package it as a separate widget, and you can call it button, and you can distribute it. And you can create like your own library of buttons. That would be pretty cool. So with that out of the way, now let's create the last widget, which is just that widget that shows on the right-hand side of the book now button. So it's just, again, remember when I mentioned the expanded widget takes most of the space because it's the only item right now. Actually, it's not the only item. This container is empty, so it's not being regarded, but the expanded takes the whole width, and then that's it. But now I want to add that remaining container, and now you will see that when I drop this container, I'm still in step number 7 all the way at the end. And when I paste that, and then let me just dissect the code. I'm in step 7 all the way at the bottom. I'm gonna be adding that container that represents that other button. I'm not gonna make it as a custom button. I just wanted to make it just to show you how you create these type of widgets. So it's just a container with some margin and padding. Remember the decoration, I keep mentioning that. That's how you do like rounded corners, borders, and stuff like that. Now if I hit run, now you will see that in a row, the expanded widget takes most of the container, and then it delegates all the other ones, to whichever space remaining there is for those. And then I'm just gonna finalize this widget by adding as a child an icon widget, and then I'm gonna be using that. It's called turned in not. I think it's just like that. It looks like a tag. I don't know why it's called like that anyway. So I'll add a color. I want to add the main color and a size of 25. There you go. Now, if I hit run, you will see now that now this whole page is created. Awesome. Perfect. I love the way that we created this app, this page. You saw me how I broke it into multiple widgets, and you saw like the whole code is available for you to see it. And that's exactly how you like structure these type of applications. Little by little, you tackle each widget at a time. That's how you do it. Now, how do we bring it all together? Now we are in step 8. Now right now we're only developing the details page, but remember, now we want to connect it all the way from the beginning. So we have the splash screen, we have the details page, and the main landing page, and now we have the details page. How you connect them all like that? Awesome. The way to do it is now we're going to make some tweaks to this details page by actually the way that you would do it. Some people are doing, you come from different schools, like you can either persist state like in a higher object. You can use like riverpod, you can use the provider. Those are packages that give you global, like global wide and like global state management that you can use to pass information between your widgets and between your components, making them truly decoupled. But in this particular case, I'm just gonna cheat a little and I'm just gonna pass something to the parameter of this constructor. So bear with me for a second. So now, whenever you select one item in the list view, like one of the items, we're gonna be passing that contextual information so that it populates the details page. Let me show you how to do that. So let's go to the details page. Let me just walk you to that. So here in the details page, we're going to be creating 2 properties. One called mount model. This one will hold whatever the user selected in the list view in the landing page, and this one is going to be holding the current item that got selected. So we're going to be calling it mount, just like that. Now we're going to be modifying the default constructor of this widget. So we're going to be overriding the constructor and making it so that it takes in this parameter. So I'm going to be calling it details page, just the constructor of this widget. And then you pass it like this dot mount. So you're creating a constructor that takes as a parameter the object, the whole object, the one that when you select on the list view, the current model, the mount, you pass it to the next page, and then that page just populates itself with that information. Now, the next thing that you do is, of course, right now, remember, we're hard coding the third item in that collection. We're not going to be doing that anymore. We're not hard coding the value. Just replace this by whatever we are receiving from the constructor. So instead of hard coding like one single value, let's get whatever the user supplied via the constructor and then stored in that property called mount. So now we make it a little bit more dynamic. Anytime you click on one of those and you navigate to the next page, you can do that. This is a pattern that is simple, but I would encourage you to use like a more advanced ways of passing information between pages, which is using like state management, like provider, Riverpod, GetX, there's a bunch of those. So you can definitely explore either one of those. So let's continue down the line. And now, actually, let's go back to the previous, a couple of the things that we did in the previous lab. So in the previous lab, remember, we created a list view that whenever you select one of those, actually, let me just replace it in here and then you will see it. So here, all the way to the top, I just can show you, I will replace in my void main method, I'm gonna be replacing this details page by the mounts app, which is the landing page. So let me just do it right here, mounts app. And then now when I rerun it, now you will see not the details page, but you will see only the landing page. So let's try it like that. So in this page, I'm going back to this page. This is the one that we created in the previous episode, in the previous session. This is the one that represents this page. Now what we want to do is when I select one of these cards right here, each one of these mounts, when you click on one, it will grab that selected item and pass it on to the next page. And then that page populates itself with the information that is displayed here in this card. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing. So now just to wrap up that piece, let's do it in step number 8. You go to that widget that represents the list view, which we're calling it app mounts list view. So let's go to that exact widget. We're calling it app mount list view. So in the app mount list view, app mount, there we go. I'm sorry, it's app mount list view. Yeah, I think I maybe haven't spelled it. So anyway, this is our widget, app mount list view. Let me search for it again. There we go. Perfect. So this is our widget. And remember, we have a list view. So it's a list view that generates a bunch of items based on how many mount items we have in that collection. So what we're going to do is make each one of these items clickable. That is another one of those things that I wanted to mention, that you can make your own interactive elements. You don't have to rely on the ones that are coming core from the library. Any object, you can make it tappable. Any container, any widget, you can make it clickable by using a special widget called Gesture Detector. Gesture Detector gives you other capabilities like dragging, swiping. You can detect like all those things when you start touching it, when you stop touching it, when you're holding it down. There's a bunch of those events that are available to the Gesture Detector. All you have to do is grab your widget and wrap it inside of a Gesture Detector widget. So let's do exactly that. So remember, in the list view builder creates each one of those items in the list view. So what we want to do is each one of these cards, these containers, we're going to wrap it inside a Gesture Detector. So remember, like before, you find the closing parentheses of that container. So I'm just going to click on that one. I'm explaining it like that in step number 8. So I will select this whole container like this, and then I'm going to cut it. Now, instead of returning a container, I'm going to be returning a Gesture Detector. And then as a child, I'm going to be adding that whole container. So you add a child property and just paste your container in there. I'm just going to do like some tabbing, and then that's it. So the Gesture Detector has a bunch of very useful methods. So we're going to be using the simplest one that is there, that it will allow you to tap or click. So you can do that on tap. So that's the one that we're going to be using. So you do on tap. And then here, the on tap, what it does, it just takes a callback. So you attach a callback to it. So that means whenever the widget captures a tap event, it will trigger, it will do something for you. In our case, what we want to do is when you tap on it, we want to navigate to the next page and do what? pass information along the pipeline. So I capture the information that got persisted, in this particular case, that got selected, which is current mount, which is the one in the current iteration. So I'm holding that in memory. When I tap on that container that is inside of the gesture detector, we will perform a navigation to the next page, passing that context along. So let me show you how to do that. So I believe I provided the code for that in last piece of step number 8. So I'm just going to be replacing the whole on tap event. Let me do some tabbing in here. And then you see, now what we do inside when user taps on that image, you do a navigation. So you use navigator.off context. Remember, you use that context as a handle to pull stuff inherited from the parent, from the hierarchy, and then you pull the navigator reference to that. Then you do a push so that you can push a material page route. Remember, material page routes wrap widgets. So that's exactly what we're doing. So we're passing a route that contains the details page widget, and we pass the current mount that is in the iteration whenever I select it. So now if I just hit run, now you will see the list view being generated. You hardly see the gesture detector because it's invisible, but it's actually capturing events. So if I tap on one of these guys, it should perform a navigation to the next page, and voila, there you go. Now it's all hooked up, and I didn't have to do anything. All I have to do is just hook it up so that it performs a navigation to that page. And because we made it already very dynamic, and we made it so that it populates itself based on the model that we inject via the constructor, so that you do that. And you see, you get this for free because you added the app bar, and this widget now becomes part of the navigation stack. You get this little convenient back button that allows you to click, and then it takes you right back to the previous page, which is the landing page. So let's do that. See, I can even scroll on these guys. I can select another one. When you tap it, remember what it does. It captures the tap event, grabs the current object in that iteration, performs a navigation, and pass that object along. So I'm going to tap on one of these guys, and any other one. And then now you see that it will perform a navigation to the next page. It will grab all the context. Yeah, I can even, I think you just taking a little bit. But then, for example, like if I select one of these guys, it will grab the context, pass it. There you go. And then that's it. So I may have selected the other one. But anyway, you see how cool it was? And then that's it. That's all you need. Now, just to bring it all together and just so that we can wrap up, all we're going to do now, if you even like all the way at the end in step number 8, we're just going to be replacing in the void main method, we're just going to be replacing it by the splash page. So now this brings it all together, and in 2 very interactive, useful sessions, great attendees, a lot of interaction. We created a very simple application with a bunch of features. We went over like some of the main features in Flutter. We were able to create a 3-page application with a splash screen, a landing page, and a details page, all in the browser. No coding whatsoever. We didn't even have to, no installation whatsoever, just pure coding. And then we were able to do that. Now what you can do is, for example, you can grab the same code that you have in here. You can even copy paste it and put it into your local development environment, your own local Flutter environment. You can just drop this into the main method, into the main Dart file, and you can deploy this, and you will see the application working flawlessly. So that's why I like DartPad, because with DartPad, it allows you for rapid prototyping, and you can develop applications much quicker. Let me show you. I think I have it in here installed. If I just show you in here, you will see, for example, the application loading. You see the splash screen showing. You see that this is actually pulling from there. Let me just dismiss this for you. And then if you show the application, if I tap on one of these guys, you see it navigate. You can go back up. Sorry, I think it just died. But anyway, at least I just wanted to show you that exactly that same code, I was able to deploy it on a device and make it pass as a legit full-blown application. So kudos to you for sticking through these 2 sessions, going through the labs that we put together for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys. Thank you, Leopoldo. I couldn't have done it without you, with the support of your communities and this great, the way that we're collaborating, bringing great content for you guys. Let me just wrap up by just doing one last, a couple of questions for you guys, just so that you, thank you, Andres. Thank you very much for joining. All this code is available, like I showed you. It's still in there. I think I even have like some GitHub gists available in this code. There will be future sessions, and we're the Deepa, the Codelabs are available forever moving forward. I'm going to be creating a bunch of other labs. Aditya, we're going to be focused also. We're going to be doing stuff like more like on the data side of things. This 2 sessions were focused on UI layouts. We're going to be doing stuff like on responsive layouts. We could even do one like where we could do truly serverless applications using Firebase, connecting Flutter to Firebase, doing authentication backend with Firebase, and make your applications a lot more robust. So, or anything that you guys want us to do, please give us feedback. We can, you can send us email. You can give us information if you want us to give you, again, the content that is valuable to you guys. Great, perfect. Deepa, that's you can actually, again, follow me on YouTube. I have a bunch of videos on Flutter and Firebase that you can follow along, and that'll be great. So I'll just have one more interactive session for you guys. So I can show you and kind of like as a recap of what we're doing. So let me just show you real quick. Let me just give me a second real quick. And let me show you this piece right now. So I'm going to be showing you as a recap of what we're doing right now. Let me show you. Let me see this. Perfect. So remember that we were in the that we finished like a couple of slides, a couple of, we did a couple of questions in here, like very interactive. We're going to be doing one last interactive session so that you can see this. Let me show you exactly what I mean. So I'm going to be playing those questions for you so that you guys can see it. So right now, if you want to join in this interactive session, you can go to, again, slido.com with the code 307654. And I'm going to be showing you a couple of images. You tell me what these images represent and what type of layout strategy they do. So look at the image on the right. Now, what Flutter layout widget is being applied here? You see 2 items laid out horizontally. Which ones do you think the type of layout it is? Join at slido.com. Yes, Tanusha already did it. So yeah, slido.com with 307. If you want to do it, if you want to join on this interactive session, people are saying row. When you laid out items horizontally, what type of layout strategy? People are saying row. So let's see. That's exactly correct. Row just lays them out horizontally. That's it. Simple as that. Let's go to the next one. So now if I show you this image, which Flutter layout widget is being applied here, making that widget taking most of the parent container, whether in this particular case, we already know that it's in a row, but how do you make a widget take most of the real estate in either a row or a column so that it takes most of the space and then it delegates all the other widgets? So which widget provides you that capability? So a lot of people are saying container. Container is tricky, but you could accomplish a couple of things with a container, but a container actually takes the width of the parent. But if you wanted to actually take most of the parent content, most of it, you have to use, like you guessed, expanded. So expanded widget is the widget that is being used to wrap that. And then the last one, let me show you this last one. Which layout widget is being applied here? Widgets that are laid out in a layered fashion. They're on top of each other in a layered fashion, kind of like a cake approach. So let's see what people are answering. People are saying stack. So if you see it like that as a layer, people are saying stack. Let's see what that is. That's exactly what it is. So a stack widget is the widget that allows you to lay them out as a stack. That's it, guys. Again, thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody sticking all the way through the end. Let us know if you have any questions. Right now, maybe we have a few minutes left. If you have any questions, you can drop it in the chat. But all I wanted to do is just remind you, please join your local communities like you, Aditya, if you want to, or some of you again who are really passionate about Flutter, please join your local communities. Join events like this because you definitely support it and make us want to do a lot more. So please join these events. Please support us, especially like these efforts that I've been doing also. You can follow me on Twitter at @DRCoders. You can follow me on YouTube, some of the videos that I've been posting there. And that's it, guys. That was it. Thank you so much for staying through the workshop. And Leopoldo, take it away.
Absolutely. And thanks a ton one more time, Roman, for being here. It's been a pleasure having you one more time. Okay, you got everybody super excited. Okay, I know that everyone was calling out for you at the very, very beginning whenever I just walked in. Okay, so it's been swell having you. Okay, and as Roman stated, please support your local GDG chapters. Okay, you can also find the video for this particular one, okay, right here on our YouTube channel. Okay, but stay tuned. Reach out to your local GDG chapters. Okay, we are a part of GDG Fremont, GDG Cloud Silicon Valley, and GDG Cloud Fremont, as well as GDG Roman. What's your GDG?
GDG Lawrence. You can
There
definitely
we
join
go.
that. GDG Lawrence. Thank you very much, guys.
Absolutely. On that, I'll go ahead and stop the recording right here. Okay, and if you happen to have any questions, we still have a couple of times. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys on the next one.
Thank you, guys.